Bienvenidos a la Midwest Flyways podcast. I am your host, Joey Basayo, and we are at the Game Fair podcast studio. Midwest Flyways podcast is presented by Onyx Hunt and Ducks Unlimited, and today we have a very special guest. I've been trying to get him on the podcast since the genesis of the podcast, Phil Kahnke.
Phil,
hey
thanks
guys.
for being here, man.
Thanks for having me on. Glad you could track me down.
Finally.
Right?
You're a very hard man to reach and to get on the podcast.
It's a busy place around here.
It is.
It is super busy.
It's busy.
Dude, I just, your photography is out of this world. I love it so much. And like, I feel like I know a lot of people follow you on Instagram, right? It's like over 100,000 or some ridiculous number.
Somewhere in that, close to that, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And you've had so many photos of yours on covers of magazines and like for banded stuff, for Cabela's, everything.
Ducks Unlimited a lot.
DU.
Yeah, DU
Right.
a lot.
All the major magazines. And
Yeah.
It's incredible, dude.
I actually think for me, some of my favorite photos that you take are not of ducks.
Well, see, I like that. I mean, the duck thing is what got me started in photos, but I feel like the hunting photos have more impact.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like some of your photos, like, sunrise from the blind view sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think some of those photos are your best photos. And, I mean, obviously your duck photography is amazing, but it's a different deal.
Yeah, so that's more of like a technical be in the right place thing, whereas the other stuff is, well, when I started photography, I used to think that kind of stuff was easy to do.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, it's hard to get a duck because it's moving and you have to get it in focus. And it's hard to get them close. And, it's not as simple as just go plop yourself out in the slough and they come by. But it's, for me, that part's easy because how I've duck hunted and all that. But all the other stuff has been hard. And I'm more proud of my other photos that get used or people like because I've had to work at that. Like I've actually had to really put time and effort in and try not to copy other people, but maybe use stuff as inspiration and see what's possible and then adapt it to like what I like to see and what I think of as duck hunting.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the best photographers have a style, and I think like you can emulate styles and try to make them your own in some, way, shape or form, but it's totally different, like you said, because I think like taking cool shots that people haven't really thought to take of a hunting scenario or people or the blind is, it's just more artistic, in a certain way. It's creative.
It's hard. Like I think the little niche I carved out for myself, and that is that early morning, low light stuff. So that's been kind of fun. And I mean, I've done that ever since. I've done low light photography since I bought a camera, but it was of stars and that. So that gave me the basis to do it. Then I thought, well, I can probably incorporate this into hunting. There's not a lot of people doing it because it is hard and it takes some experimentation. It's easy.
You have a very short window to do it.
Yeah, you don't have much time, and you're usually busy. I mean, you have to you have to have friends that are willing to sacrifice 10 minutes to stand somewhere for 30 seconds while you're doing this. And I make sure we get out there early enough now, so for the most part. But it's cool.
Can you tell us a little bit about taking some of those photos of the birds? Kind of what we've seen so much in magazine covers and stuff. I think a lot of people want to know how people are actually going and getting those photos because there's so much more to it than Phil just woke up and went out by a marsh and took a photo.
It's definitely different. So most of mine happen in late winter, early spring. Because for the most part, for 99%, I'm a duck hunter over a photographer. So during duck season, I almost always have a gun in my hand and a duck call in my hand rather than my camera. I have my camera with for when I can catch those moments after the ducks aren't coming. But I don't even have many like cell phone videos of ducks coming in. Because I'm in the zone.
Hunting.
I'm in the zone. So I'm in the, being in South Dakota, we have a pretty good return flight of ducks coming through. And as soon as that we start seeing those, I go out and I approach it like a duck hunt for the most part. I'm scouting, looking to see what places are going to have water, what places I know that traditionally hold ducks, what places have good backgrounds, what places work for certain sun and wind combinations, because that's all part of it.
You
don't want a big nasty plowed field in the background. You don't want a big cut bank in the background. Or houses or something like that. You need to have a nice, I like to have nice marsh. Like the ideal thing for me is like a broken marsh where you've got water, cattails,
Right. Yeah.
sky in the background. When I started, I did not do that. I just went to whatever place had the most ducks, and I found myself in the middle of flooded, plowed cornfields, and I had a billion photos, but they weren't very pretty.
Sure.
And they weren't utilized by magazines. Then all of a sudden, one year, we had water in a couple places that were real pretty, and I just kept taking photos there. I'm like, these are the photos that I really like, and believe it or not, those are the ones that got used by magazines.
Yeah.
I think that was about the time when I got that first DU cover in like 2018 or 2019. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like why they picked that one, because I really like all the ones from that day, and and they liked it. So I've shifted that a little bit to really key in on the places I like to go. If there's places I won't even take photos. If there was 10,000 ducks, I wouldn't even take a photo there, maybe if the background or the scene wasn't right and the lighting wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I pay a lot of attention to that. And, you know, it's just like in a hunting situation, there's all the little things that take a hunting scene or situation, and, you know, you have to get those birds to 40 yards typically. You know, you want them less than that.
Yeah.
But they don't have to be on the water. You can shoot them up in the sky. Well, if you do that with the camera, you've got a picture of a duck that's a speck, a little small speck, and then it's up in a blue sky, which doesn't have a whole lot of interest in there. Sometimes it can, but for the most part, you want the habitat, you know, to kind of tell the whole story. So you have to get these birds to probably 20 to 40 yards is the ideal thing, and you have to get them low. You have to get them in. You have to position them inside of a little area that you want, so where like that background lines up how you want, and the sun hits them just right. Because on a mallard, if it lands 10 yards to the right of where you want, the head might just be a dark green blob with no iridescence. Whereas if it moves just a little to the left and it turns its head just right, all of a sudden you've got that big shiny green glowing thing. You know, I have pictures of a series of them, pictures of a mallard or you know, green winged teal with that little bit on their head, where one picture it's perfect, and all of a sudden it just starts to turn its head just a little bit, and it's just a shadow. And you don't see any of that color, and it's not worthless, but it's not like it'll never get printed, probably. Sure. And I mean, for myself, it's still cool, and I still like taking them. And that's, you know, I'm not like, I don't go out with the goal of taking photos for magazines. I go out to do the thing and have the experience, and I'm lucky that the pictures that I like to take are the same ones that the magazines and whoever else likes to use. Yeah. So it's more of a coincidence, and I've tuned a few things to make it, you know, more appropriate for that use as well. But for the most part, it's almost all I like to do the thing, and then it happens to be able to be utilized by these other companies. So
that's cool. So are you going out and you're actually like, I mean, you're hiding. You're setting up a full hide. You're putting out decoys, like all that whole thing.
Yeah, usually some decoys, not many.
Sure.
I don't use many because then they get in the way of your pictures.
Yeah.
So I usually put a few out, and I almost always have just like a little those low turkey seats.
Sure.
Depends on the water. Like these last couple of years, I've been able to use like the real low ride turkey seats. And just set that in the cattails, and I just break them off over me or something like you would if you're hunting.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll bring like a little tripod stool or something just so you get enough. You want to be as low to the water as you can for the most part.
Sure.
Have the camera as low to the water, but you need to be able to see. So that's where you add in like another complication.
It's so tough.
You add in another well, yeah, you know, like hunting, like I said, all you need to do is get those birds to 40 yards. It doesn't matter which way, whether they come sideways or whether they come from the back or whatever.
They're high or low.
Doesn't matter if the sun is in front of you or behind you as much. I mean, it's a piece of the puzzle, but if the sun is in front of you when you're taking photos, you're done. I mean, you might you're not going to even do it.
Pack up.
Yeah, so like, you know, you have to have the sun, the wind, you have to have a hide, you have to have the background, you have to have the birds willing to come in there, all those things. I mean, it's 10 times harder than getting a duck into your hole with your gun.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's helped make me a better duck hunter too.
I was just going to ask that. Yeah. What do you think you've applied the most, like having taken those photos?
Hiding.
What about your hide? Yeah.
Utilizing shadows is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. And also positioning, like, not setting yourself at the key spot where they're looking. What I've been doing the last couple of years a lot is like side shooting. And for one, that gives me, I feel like my key image for years and years was the straight coming at you duck.
Yeah.
That was like, if you thought of one of my photos, it was that. Well, now I've been trying to do different stuff because I have always like get a little bit of a side shot so you see a different position on them. You see their speculum and their wings, and maybe if you can get the light right, it lights them all up.
Yeah.
But also when you do that, whether it's hunting or photography, like they're coming in, they tend to look, they're focusing more straight in front of them, not off to the side. So you've got a little bit, because you are moving, well, it's not a lot, but you're moving your camera, panning with them as they go. So like any of that little motion isn't detected as much. So yeah, those two things are, I would say, the biggest for sure.
So what I found was really cool when I met you hunting that one time. We were hunting in the same area. And Gavin knew all about you. I had never heard of you before. Yep. And so then I started following you on Instagram, and you'd post like random videos of you hunting.
Yeah.
Dude, you're an unbelievable duck and goose caller. It's insane.
I was.
I mean, still, dude, you're still really good. And so I feel like that's so rare to have a photographer at your caliber to also be like a true blue hunter and killer,
Yeah, I've thought of that before, and I think that's maybe why. There's a few other guys that are. Of course, I think for the most part, it's two different things. And they're related, but not exactly the same. A lot of most waterfowl hunting photographers are not necessarily hunters, because a lot of them started as in the photography thing young, and then they're not hunting as much, so you don't gain all that. Like I said, I was always a hunter. That's what I did. For years and years, I didn't bring my camera when we hunted. I always owned the same camera that I used for the hunt duck photos, but I didn't bring it with hunting because I just didn't want to mess with it.
Right.
And even I based like my college class schedules around hunting.
Right.
So I was dedicated to that, and I've paid a lot of attention. I feel like I'm very analytical with it.
Well, I've seen your boat blind videos.
Yeah.
You're an extremely analytical person.
Yeah. I try to pay a lot of attention to all the things that matter. And calling, is a huge part of that. And really that's the whole, calling is the reason why I like to duck hunt. If I don't do that, that's one reason I water hunt more than field hunt, because it's the thing. I don't use a spinner. I rarely hunt where the ducks are at, and it's all based off of calling. So that little, that piece of the puzzle is for me the most important part. Like if I couldn't do that, I don't even know why I would want to hunt. It's just shooting ducks at that point.
Right. Yeah. Not as much of a relationship.
Yeah, you have that interaction.
Yeah.
And that's why my second favorite waterfowl thing to do is to chase geese in a cornfield out of a layout blind. That's my favorite thing, or second favorite thing, where it's both all calling related. So
right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm a decent hunter, and it's paid off on the photography side of life as well, both in being in those situations and knowing how to deal with ducks, but also being able to translate those things that I see to other people in hunting situations, and let them connect to that as well. So.
Yeah, guys, the Midwest Flyways podcast is brought to you by Ducks Unlimited, and if you're not already a Ducks Unlimited member, you can join today for $35. Go to ducks.org. You can get your membership. They almost always have a cool different gift that you get for joining. So go ahead and check that out. Support Ducks Unlimited and what they're doing to restore habitat for ducks all across the United States.
Well, I can tell through your photography, because you are a hunter, and so what other hunters want to see.
Yeah.
Your perspective on what you're trying to get a picture of is what I want to see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the things that happen that maybe you aren't even cognizant of are happening, but when you see them, like, oh yeah, I can relate to that moment before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's super cool.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I was telling someone yesterday, I said I'm totally lucky in how my photography life has played out. I don't consider myself a professional photographer so much as I'm not like a Joel Jones or Ed Wall, where I make my living shooting photos after photos after photos and new clients and that. That's not my gig. it's cool, but I'm glad I don't have to do that because
it's a passion project.
Because I still really enjoy it.
Yep.
It's all fun for me.
Yep.
While my work is utilized, my photography is utilized by my work with Banded, I'm not like sent out on a photography mission very often. I'm basically told, okay, go ahead and hunt a bunch and take photos and we'll use those photos. And so I still get to do the things I like to do for the most part the way I like to do it.
Yeah.
But not, like you have to go do this thing.
Here's your deliverables.
To get paid, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a few here and there where I actually go like on a shoot for new products.
Freelancing.
Stuff. Well, even for work for Banded where like we have a new wader launch and we go shoot all the photos for it.
Yep.
But it's random enough that I'm not like, you have all these other things to do, and so I'm not part of that rat race of that part of it.
Sure.
And so I said it's ideal, and the magazine stuff is all super cool because again, it's just photos that I shoot that I just want to see myself, and then at the end of the season, I say, here's all these photos I took. If you want to use them, then they pick through them through the seasons.
That's what I was going to ask. Are you just sending them and say, go ahead, or is it more so like, hey, Phil,
it all depends.
We love your stuff. Do you have a photo of this that we can use for a cover?
It all depends on who is looking.
Sure.
It's like I actually got 2 emails yesterday from 2 different magazines. One was, hey, do you have a specific image relative to this subject? And then the other one, actually both were like that. And one of them I had none of. The other one I probably have some of. And sometimes some of the magazines you just send the stuff and then they just keep it in their database and they pick what they want.
Yep, and they just contact you if they're going to use it.
Yeah, and they just let you know. Some of the other ones send out like a big want list for the whole the upcoming issue.
Yep.
And they send it to however many people, and you send in what you got that relates to it, and you don't send in if you don't got it, and they just pick it out, and then you find out that it's in there. So
yeah,
unless it's like a cover, then they're like, oh, can you send the high res one? Like, oh, it's a good sign. Yeah. I have the high res. I'll get it to you in 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. Do you find when you are not using decoys and it's like the late winter, early spring, I'm guessing you have a duck call on you, right?
Yep.
Have you noticed a difference in the way that you call ducks when they're in that courtship flight? Is it harder to bring them closer to you?
When they're courtship and you can't get them.
That's what I figured.
Absolutely can't do anything with them.
So you're just like picking the perfect spot where they're going to dump into or where they're going to fly past. So it's even more difficult.
What happens with in that situation, in that time of year, like, so you're out there, you're taking photos of everything that's going on, if it's a courtship flight and they fly past you, that's as good as you can hope for if you're getting that. And I'm kind of to the point where the courtship flights are super cool and they look neat and they're impressive, but it's not a hunting scene.
Sure.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I'll take them, but I don't necessarily go after that one as much anymore. Now I try to just get somewhere where there's a bunch of ducks and I can get in between them and maybe find those like single groups, like a single drake or some small little bunches that are gonna land there. Maybe you're callable.
Sure.
But for the most part, like once it's over 3 or 4 ducks, it's a courtship, and you're done for then.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the teal, the divers, they come around. They're more like they are in the fall. They're gonna do it a lot easier. The puddle ducks are hard though. That's why like most pictures of most of these photographers, if it's from the spring, it's a single or it's a courtship flight.
Yeah.
It's hard to get like the mixed flocks then because they just don't hardly exist then.
Right.
It's almost always
they're almost
one,
always
one hen and 10 drakes or a single drake. That's what
Right.
it is. So.
Yeah.
I always wondered that because you're so immersed in it. I'm like,
Yeah.
how is he actually doing it? And you just said you're not really using decoys. So I'm like,
Sometimes, and for the most part, I have some. Some places I won't because I don't want them to keep. Like if I want to go out and just get a lot of photos of just ducks, then I'll just sneak in somewhere and try to be as sneaky and let them stay there if I can. Then just sit back a little bit and let the ducks just be themselves more.
yeah,
Because when they come in, if they come in the spring and they land, they're going to tend. So you guys might get a kick of this, and maybe you've heard me say it before, but they're going to tend to be somewhat downwind of me. and almost immediately their heads are up, and I think they smell you. And
Really?
Oh yeah, no question. And then they swim off. If you, I mean, I've had, I don't know how many thousands of ducks land under 30 yards from me.
Yeah.
Every time, if they're downwind, every time, immediately their heads are up and they're nervous. Whether I could be buried into the cattails with like literally just your camera lens exposed, a little bit of it, and they're on high alert.
Wow.
Whereas if they land, if you're at a side wind and they land upwind of you a little bit, immediately take a drink, preen, chill, do their thing.
Wow.
Then they swim down towards you and they get into that line where your scent is, and it's immediate. Their heads go up and they either take off and fly or they swim straight away from you.
Yeah.
Wow. I've seen it. I've been under that impression since I was like 12 years old, and I lived in Waseca and would sneak up on them on Loon Lake. I mean, I'd bury myself in the Flares grass on the shores. I mean, you couldn't see anything, and all of a sudden I'd see two ducks coming down the shore, and they'd get 5 yards from you and poof, gone out, and they'd swim around you and then come back and right down the shore again.
Interesting.
Do you think they can smell corn? You think they can smell ag?
I think that's how they find them, because they can't. Yeah. There's no way when you're up there, you can't see a difference.
Right.
We just interviewed the head waterfowl scientist for Ducks Unlimited
Steve
last
Adair.
weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
And he didn't have a definite answer on it. I was like, but I'm sure you've seen it where
Dude, I guarantee
no birds have been flying over this field.
Well,
the night it gets cut, the next morning,
they're there.
They're there.
Well,
and there's nothing within 6 miles.
Yeah, in Waseca, we had sweet corn all the place, and you can smell those. I mean, we can smell those fields.
Yeah,
I've had this conversation quite a few times with different people, and I've had it on my own podcast. I know. So I've done a little bit of like Googling and some research, and there's tests where like they test a duck, like they put corn in one slot and no corn in another, and it goes to the slot with the corn in it.
Yeah.
Like they can't see it, but they can smell it, and they go to that one. So they definitely have that some sense of smell. And other birds have crazy like condors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they smell a dead deer from miles and miles away. So I think there's no question they use it to find food, and I mean, they're not gonna like not come into your decoys because they smell you. But when they're in that real close, like intimate range, I definitely think they have it. I mean, I've done it too, where I've snuck in on ducks, when I was little. You'd sneak up on some, and it'd be windy, like 20, 30 mile an hour wind, so they can't hear anything. And you're upwind of them, and you're sitting there for a minute and nothing's happening. All of a sudden, you might only be 30, 40 yards, but typical Minnesota style, the cattails were way over your head, and it was deep, and you couldn't see them, and all of a sudden they all just flushed for no reason.
Yeah.
But if you're on the downwind side of them, you could get right up onto them, in those same situations, and never had them spook. So, if they
so wind at your backs might not actually be that good.
I mean, yeah. Like I just don't. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna like. I would never you to worry about them not coming in.
Yeah.
But this is another little funny anecdote, and I don't know that this one is quite as right, but I will say in places where we're like trafficking ducks and there's a decent amount of ducks around, the amount of times that ducks come in when we're cooking bacon is way more than way more than coincidental.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, because you're only cooking it for half an hour, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, you're not even calling at them. And you look, you're like, oh shit, get ready. These ones are coming. They're coming. And we rarely have that where they're not coming because of the places that we hunt. They don't just come there. So we're so reliant on calling. And a lot of times we get them coming when you're cooking.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. So they're omnivores is what you're saying.
Oh, I've seen them eat frogs and I mean, I've seen them eat everything.
Yeah.
Apparently pigs. Pigs.
I don't know that that's really the thing.
They just smell something.
It sounds crazy, but the frequency with which it happens makes me question it. But
what's like
I have zero doubt. I mean, I will argue someone to my death that they for sure can smell a person in that 20 to 40 yard range.
Yeah.
No doubt. Absolutely no doubt.
So do you purposefully take a little bacon out every time now? You're just like, well, just in case it gets a little slow.
Actually I don't even cook anymore. I took my oven out of my boat, and I'm a little lazier now for some reason. So.
Just don't want to be cooking in there anymore?
It's just a pain.
It's a lot to remember.
It's just a pain in the butt.
It's a lot
to remember. And of course, it's
man.
my boat, so like I'm the one who not always. I mean, some of my buddies are really good at bringing stuff, but if we're gonna do it, then We got to make sure we do the dishes, and all the shit gets left in the boat for one person to deal with at the end.
Yes.
And so yeah,
and it's your boat, so it's you.
It's me. Yeah. So that's always like the pain in the butt. So I just I built this new boat this year, and I didn't leave a place for an oven. We can do the flip over your little, propane stove deal. We can do that if we want, and we do that sometimes. But I had an oven. We could cook muffins and blueberry muffins. What was the other one? Yeah, we could bake. We cooked blueberry muffins and what was the other thing? God, we did one other thing.
An actual oven.
Yeah, it was a little it's like a Coleman. I don't know what the brand. Maybe,
like an RV
maybe
oven
Coleman,
or whatever.
Propane.
Damn.
It was like that big. It weighed like 25 pounds. Yeah. This is a new boat. I'm trying to save all the weight I can too.
Right.
But yeah, it was sweet. I mean, there's nothing better than blueberry muffins with some butter on them in the morning. That was like my favorite.
Yeah.
So.
Ducks love muffins.
They probably do.
I'm sure.
Dude, I wouldn't.
Love bread. I'm sure they would love blueberry muffin.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So since you're such a big hunter, I know that you've been posting a lot more about the elk trips that you've been doing. Mm-hmm. Have you ever thought about going back to those areas and chasing ducks in those areas, or have you already done that? Guys, this podcast is also brought to you by OnX Hunt. I don't know if you're anything like me. I'm not over the age of 50 where I have an automatic compass in my head where I think, oh, okay, that's north. I'm going to go north for 2 miles and then head east for 1.5. Then I'm going to turn left at the tree. That's not me. I'm not a 55-year-old man explaining a GPS to someone. So I need OnX in order to find my way through the cattails in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. to find my spot where I saw ducks the day before. But then also send my buddies field locations and field approaches as well. There are so many different uses for OnX. Go and check them out. Our discount code for OnX is MWF20 to get yourself 20% off your elite or state membership.
I always think about it when I'm there, but we're in such high country that there's almost no ducks there. Sure. We're at 8,000 feet, and it's just, we have seen, we've flushed, our campsite is right next to a small creek, and we flushed a few mallards out in the fall, but we never even see any other ones when we're there. Yeah. So I don't.
But have you ever hunted ducks in those states before?
Oh, those states, yeah, I have. I've hunted Montana a couple times.
Yeah,
so it's fun.
You're from Minnesota?
I'm from Minnesota. I'm from Waseca.
Yeah. And then you moved to South Dakota for just ducks and work and all stuff?
For work. So I moved. I went to college by St. Cloud. Graduated. Went back to Waseca for a few years. Hunted like crazy those few years. Then I ended up working for Cabela's. Owatonna when that was a new store pretty much, so it was chaos and crazy.
Yeah.
And I didn't plan on working there that long necessarily. Next thing you know, I got like a little promotion, then another little promotion, and then we opened the Rogers store. And I opened that store and bought a house in Big Lake and lived there for a couple of years. Yeah. And I hated it. Yep. I hated everything about it. I hated the area. I didn't hate it, but it was just too busy. And then,
Big Lake was too busy?
Yeah, Big Lake was too busy. I mean, you're on.
It was when they were building everything.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it's busy enough. Like one morning, my commute would take me 15 minutes. The next, it'd take 45. Sure. I just didn't like that coming from Waseca. I just drove 2 miles to work or whatever.
Yeah.
When you're hopping on 94 too.
Yeah, that was what it was. It was chaos. And 10 was crazy. And so I was in Rogers, and then I got a chance for another promotion, and they asked if I wanted to move to Mitchell. I was like, give me 15 minutes. And I called the guy that had moved from the Owatonna store to Mitchell. And I said, what's the duck hunting like around Mitchell? He's like, way better than what you have now. I said, all right. Call back. Yep, I'll take it.
That was it?
Yep, I'll take it. I was there like 2 days later, living in a hotel for a month, and then...
Oh, my God.
Slowly moved over.
Yeah.
Wow. How old were you when you did that?
27.
Oh, yeah. So prime time.
Yeah.
It's a perfect time to do it.
I had free time. The hunting was really good. It was like 2007. It was before everything got fucking crazy with hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. Those first few years I lived there, the hunting was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Good. We'd gotten I think the first night I was there, the second night I was there, I was in someone's, I lived in like a little house that someone rented to me out in the country. We got 8 inches of rain the first night I was there, or something like that.
Oh, wow.
And I was living in an area that had not had rain for a long time, so it flooded basically pheasant hunting ground with that grass.
Sure.
I mean, it was perfect, and there was some corn. And it was an area that had been dry long enough that it was off of everybody else's radar.
Sure.
And this stuff was all in my backyard. And I was at the bar most every night to get dinner, and so all the farmers knew me as the Cabela's guy.
Yeah.
And I had permission for everything, and it was dumb. I mean, it was
Oh, it's so fun,
it was a
man.
really good season. I mean, up until that stuff froze, I would barely hear a shotgun. I mean, it was weird. It was weird to hear a shotgun in the distance. I don't think it's like that anymore in that area. Now the school kids know about it, and there's water been there now, so now it gets hit.
Sure.
But it was wild. Those first 2 years were unbelievable. I'll probably never have that again. I had it maybe a few years ago, I guess, when we got flooded around home, but it was phenomenal.
So when did you start working for Banded?
Basically 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, I was part of when Bass Pro took over Cabela's. I had the option to either stay and have to start carrying like a company phone and answer at all hours of the night and work more hours, all for a little bit of a raise, or I could take a big severance package.
Yep.
I was like, that's a no-brainer. Like, I'd been there 17, 18 years, you know.
Yeah.
And it was retail management, and so almost every time I worked, I was the one in charge, and so you get a billion questions, and your phone's ringing, and it was just, retail life was just rough, and you had no schedule. You know, one night you work till midnight, and the next night you have to be back at 5 a.m. So I was done with
brutal.
I was done with that, and I was planning on quitting actually anyway. So it was the ideal scenario.
Kind of worked out.
Yeah, that happened in February, and I called Rebecca at my home and said, "Hey, I took the severance package, and I'm going to be ice fishing tonight." So I got home and grabbed my permanent check, went ice fishing, grabbed a 6-pack of beer, and fished for the night.
Cheers,
came
man.
home, figured out what I was going to do. Ice fished my ass off that year. And then that turned into duck photos, and I did that every day. And that turned into turkey hunting, and I hunted like 5 or 6 states. And then it turned into summer, and I summer fished all the time. And then that turned into a mule deer hunt for 10 days, and we left straight from there to Montana and shot a big mule deer in Colorado with my bow. Then we didn't even come home. We went another 10 days to elk hunt. Came home from that, and while I was gone on that, it rained like 10 inches around home. So everything around me was flooded.
Yes.
And that was unbelievable. And then the other place I like to hunt was flooded, and that lasted until December. It was probably the best, like, 8 to 10 months.
I was going to say, what a hell of a run.
I could ever have. The only thing that would have made it better is if I would have killed an elk on the elk trip. That would have been like the primo, top-notch deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it kind of in that like September time, the guy who hired me is actually from Waseca, and I knew him from way back then.
Yeah. Josh
Dockness, and I'd been on retainer with him for a while.
Sure.
And I said, "Hey, I'm not at Cabela's anymore." He's like, "What?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Would you be interested in full time?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And it kind of took a couple months for them
sort
to
out the details,
get everything figured out, and started then, and been working for them since. So.
What's your actual title at Banded now? What do you do?
That's a good question.
Man of many hats.
It's like content and communication manager, but essentially I just do like lots of marketing related things. Like, part of my job is like, I'm sure because, I have an Instagram following and that, like, it's beneficial for them to that I'm part of the company. They use my photography. I do a lot with like our studio imagery as well, and all of our environmental imagery, and I sort it and deal with the people who take it, deal with retailers to get them all the information on products and that kind of stuff. So and donations, all sorts, lots of random stuff.
Sure.
So one day I'm super swamped, and the next day I might not have a ton going, so I can actually work ahead. And then, this time of year, it's like when all the product is either in or not, and we're trying to get everything to the retailers. So I'm busy making sure we've got all the imagery they need and whatnot. So, yeah, it's pretty random, but not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you get to work with a company where you're around hunting and ducks and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it's in a cool situation where it's not like, I get to work from home, so I'm not, it's not crazy stressful. I mean, I can, like, if I want to hunt on a Tuesday, but I want to work Tuesday night or Saturday. There was times like later in the season when it gets super busy. One of my favorite spots, like, I don't love to hunt Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I'll hunt Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'll stay at home and work on the weekend. So
sure, you get some flexibility.
Yeah.
That's huge. To be able to be a good hunter, you need a little flexibility.
Yeah, it's huge, and it's such a different, for one, hunting situation for me, but just different lifestyle than when I was at Cabela's. Like, where every minute is you're under like the gun and you have to be at a certain place and you can't not show up because you're coverage and you're the manager on duty and yada yada. And now it's definitely a different scenario. So very different. So, yeah. I can sleep a lot better at night now.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, it's like I've been in construction since I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And I've always been self-employed until this last year.
Yeah.
This is my first year being an employee.
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy.
That's something different.
And I was like, hey. So like, I would love to be W-2'd so I can buy a home. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me where to be in the fall. And he's like, well, how can you say that? I was like, well, I'm just going to get, like, I've been working for him for 5 years.
Yeah.
I was like, have I ever not gotten my shit done? He goes, no. I was like, do I ever take any days off in the spring and summer?
Yeah.
He goes, no. I go, okay.
Yeah.
So don't mess with me when it comes to hunting season.
Let me do my thing.
I'm going to come in at 10:30 on a Wednesday morning because I shot my limited ducks. Or I tried to shoot my limited ducks.
Yeah, you went out and did the thing.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, there's a value in that. Like, I mean, I made more money when I was at Cabela's, for sure. Because, you know, it was a different, higher position and all that.
More responsibility.
For sure. And I traded it for, you know, a little more flexibility.
Yeah,
and
freedom
and
to
doing things that I like to do. So
you can't put a value on that stuff, man. I mean, we're all gonna die someday.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, at the end of it, it's like, how much money do you need to live?
Yeah.
And then what do you want to do with the rest of your time?
Yeah, like I don't want to retire at 65 and then die at 67.
Right.
You know, you hear that story too many times.
Times.
Like, you know, the perfect example is one of my best friends when I was in college. Just out of college, I actually got hired to be the Prudential life insurance, you know, securities guy in Waseca. They wanted to hire me, and I'm not that guy. Like I am not like a salesman. I'm terrible. But they wanted to hire me and have my own office and all that, and I'm like, you know, that's not for me, man. Like I told him, I said, I'm sorry, I can't take it.
It's good you knew that at that age.
I did. I knew it for sure. But then, like one of my best friends, he didn't have a college degree even, but the dude was he was selling Cutco knives and this and that, and he loved to talk to people. And I said, man, you should go talk to this guy. Here's his card. Call him. And he started that, and his deal, like, I mean, all of a sudden, like, you know, he disappeared because he was taking the trainings and doing all that. And then he was hired and he was doing the job, and he was making a shit ton of money. And he probably makes so much more than I do now. It's not even funny. But that was when we were like 21, 22, 23. And he was like, I'm going to be retired when I'm 40 and this and that. So I can't hunt now. He's my age now, almost 50. And he's not hunting.
Yeah.
He's caught up in it, and makes a lot of money, but he doesn't hunt that much.
Yeah, he's working.
He maybe hunts some for sure. And I know he does. I don't talk to him anymore, but I know he hunts some, but he definitely is. It doesn't happen like you think it's going to. You're not going to be retired unless you win the lottery or something crazy. Like, you know, because you buy a bigger house and you buy a more expensive truck.
That's right.
And you have more kids and
more money, more problems.
Yeah, it all adds up. So if you don't try to control your life so that you can do the things you want, you know, sometimes the things that you end up doing are the things that you want to do in that situation anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not always bad. But if there's certain things that mean a lot to you, you can kind of set your life up to do certain things. So
yeah. Right.
And then that's what I've done. I mean, since I've been young, I've most of my life has revolved around duck hunting at some point since I was 16 years old. So
yeah,
pretty evident probably today. So
yeah. My grandpa, he's 94 or 95.
Yep.
He's not retired. He's been owning his own real estate company since he got out of the Korean War.
Wow.
And so and he's scared that if he retires, he's going to die.
Yeah, you got to have something to do.
But I mean, he's pretty much retired. You know, he's 94.
He just keeps enough involvement to like that he feels like he's got something to do.
Right. And his brother Orville, they both worked on the railroad before going to the military. Orville got off of the railroad. He retired at 65 and died at 67.
Yeah.
And my grandpa told me, so I only knew him for the first 4 years of my life. I barely remember him, you know, but my grandpa like put it in my head. He's like, do what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, and you have to have hobbies. You know, there's a lot of people who don't have a hobby, or their hobbies are based solely on social things. You know, like, I mean, you see it a lot in duck hunters. Look how many kids that are gung-ho duck hunters when they're 18, 19, 20, 21.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden, like that friend group, you know, someone moves away and someone has kids. And then those guys don't hunt, and then that guy just quits hunting.
Yeah.
Or they all quit hunting because they don't have that thing. Whereas, like I love to duck hunt on my own, or mountain bike on my own, or whatever. Like there's things I like to do that will keep me always busy and active, have me something for me to look forward to doing in the next months or years ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, and there's a lot of people who don't have nothing like that. I mean, it just, they watch TV.
True.
Or they have a girlfriend, or they have a boy, like their boyfriend does it, whatever,
Or they meet their friends at the bar.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
yeah.
If you don't have those interests in your life to keep you going, like you just kind of just melts your
bored,
mind.
Man. Yeah.
It does melt your mind.
Like my dad he's just turned 79 this year, and he moved by us, so he lives in Salem with a couple houses down from me.
Yeah.
And he's at my house like every day, mowing the lawn, improving something on my house.
Yeah.
Fixing this. Now he's probably pouring cement today or tomorrow. He probably will be. I don't know, but he's making a new little step out from my garage because the one it shifted 6 inches, so he's got to fix that.
Yep.
So, but
that's my dad.
He fixed
My dad
an old shed that we had. He fixed it up and made it all nice. So now it's my decoy shed.
That's
so
I
mean, he's got all these, but he's doing stuff,
and
he's very, very active. And there's people that are, in their 60s that can barely walk.
Yeah.
But he's always doing something. He's out there hammering and drilling and sawing and moving 4x4s and pounding stuff in the ground. And he's constantly busy. So having that little spark to do something,
right?
Which was funny because I'm totally opposite of him. He has to work. I mean, I can barely get him to duck hunt or fish or anything anymore. He wants to work. He has to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas I'm I'm not going to avoid work, but any chance I can go to do the cool stuff, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
So
my dad calls me Peter Pan for that.
Yeah.
He's like, "What's up, Peter Pan?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, all right."
One of us has.
I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I'm having fun.
Getting the stuff done that I need to, taking care of it, and having fun.
Yeah.
I always say, what are you going to remember when you're 90 years old and you have cancer? You're going to be like, man, I'm glad my yard was perfect.
Right.
No one
never.
gives a shit about that.
No, dude.
Yeah.
And no one gives a shit about how much money you made either.
Exactly.
And nobody else will either.
Yep.
It's like.
I had a lot of fun, enjoyed every bit of it that I could. Had fun friends with my buddies, and that's the stuff that matters.
Yeah.
Nothing else, none of the other shit matters. So
Well, talking about shit that matters, I mean, I have a question for you about social media.
Yep.
What do you think is the problem with social media now and how it's affected duck hunting?
Oh my God!
Because I know you have an
How long are we going to go for here?
We got about 5-10 more minutes here, so let's get a quick answer out of you. But I know it's something.
I mean, if this is just social media related,
sure,
it is the problem with duck hunting, and it has caused almost all of the problems with duck hunting. So, obviously, what are the problems with duck hunting? One, places are crowded. There's a lot of people doing it, and they want to do it in the same places. That is one of my key things. So I've duck hunted hard for 30 years, 30 years now. I mean, we've traveled and we explored and we did all the stuff before the internet came, and you had to have a little gumption. You had to make some phone calls, and you had to go buy a paper map, and you had to try to find someone that you could talk to do it. You had to do research and
that
work.
Sucked.
Yeah, it was hard.
The plat map.
It was
sucked.
hard. Yeah, it was hard. But what that did was that separated the people who really wanted it for the experience from the people that were not going to do that work. Whereas now, with YouTube and every social media and text messaging, everything, all of this stuff has provided the flow of information has become so fast and so extreme and so much more willingly given out than it ever was, that there's no secrets anymore. There's no none of the good stuff is really left. There's still places that are good, and there's a few little honey holes here and there, but for the most part, all these places that used to be spots that you could rely on going in the third week of December to a certain place in Kansas that was if the water was at this height, you could go there and you might see two other boats, one from Kansas and one from Minnesota. Now, there's 20 trucks there.
Sure.
And there's 2% of the ducks. And they've moved somewhere else, but you only have a limited amount of time to scout and to hunt and do all that stuff. So, I mean, as far as social media, so that's how I think it's directed the hunt itself. And then if you want to talk about the culture of hunting, I mean, I think we all know what it's done to that. It's the lack of respect for, I think, the sport and the birds, and it's changed the focus of what am I going to get out of this experience versus what is this experience going to bring to me and my notoriety.
The Midwest Flyways podcast is brought to you by Migra Ammunitions. Joey and I's favorite box is the 2-4 steel, so you guys can go check out the original stacked load. Migra is available in almost every store that you would buy ammo from around the country. Otherwise, you can get it online and have it shipped right to your door. Try Migra this year. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of like that root of that problem. It gives, it gives the average guy that is not anything special, a great hunter, great anything. It gives everyone has a voice now. Everybody can be heard. And when you take all of those voices and put them together, it creates its own culture. And that's kind of what you see as you look across like a social Facebook or Instagram, and you see, pictures of ducks with their heads blown off and people biting ducks' heads and holding ducks in their mouth. It's just stupid stuff that you would never do if there wasn't a camera in your face for that thing.
Yeah.
No one's going to just go hold a duck in their mouth to be funny to their buddies. Like, no one will ever do that. I never, ever saw that. In 30 years of not having social media, no one ever did that. But now it's like a thing. And you create this thing, and what it does, it doesn't, and you can remove yourself from it, but there's cool parts of social media that you still want to be involved with, but it's impossible to block out the bad.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah, you can't block out the bad stuff and see the good stuff only. Like, there's just no way. I mean, you can't block all those pages.
What's the solution for it then, Phil? How do we correct it?
Because I think the big thing is, too, it's like we have to get more people hunting, Phil. I mean, there's 1 million duck hunters in this country. Close-ish.
I think yes and no. So I'm a little torn on that. I know all the conservation groups and everybody wants to have more hunters, but so we have 1 million duck hunters, right?
Sure.
Give or take.
Yeah.
And we have 300 million people in the country.
Yep.
So we're 0.33% of the population.
Correct.
Let's say we double the hunting population to 2 million. What's that going to do to like hunting itself? Like the actual hunt, the process, it'd be a disaster, I think. Sure. And it takes our voting power now to 0.66% of the population. That's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There will be more money injected in for other conservation, so I get all of that. I love that part, but I don't think that just blindly chasing more hunters is going to help hunting. I think you have to have the right people with the coming into it for the right reasons. That they've been taught the right way and not followed some random people on Instagram that are teaching them the wrong way, I think.
Yeah.
And you want people that are going to be involved with Ducks Unlimited, and the ones that are going to go to the banquets and spend some money and do all that kind of stuff and do maybe their own conservation things. So
you think basically what we're doing with social media is we're teaching people how to bite duck heads and pile up birds, but we're not teaching them how to respect the resource and conserve it and actually do the right stuff.
To be ethical.
I would say that. I mean, not even ethical. I mean, I don't know any of that stuff is unethical. It's a judgment. Like you have to be, it's a judgment call. Like, do I think it's right that, people just show their whole Instagram page is just dead bird after dead bird after dead bird? Like, I don't know. It's not wrong. It's not like unethical but I don't necessarily think it's respectful to the sport or the birds. And there's so much more to it than that. Like, you're not telling the full story. But people try to say that, oh yeah, I love the sunsets and this and that. But then you go to their Instagram page and all it is dead birds on their tailgate. Oh, really? Like, that doesn't coincide with what you're telling me that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I have such mixed feelings about it because, like, I don't want to tell someone that you can't hunt a certain way, but I wish we could guide them to thinking of not wanting to hunt in certain ways, not act in certain ways on their own, using their own judgment based off of values that we've had in the past, maybe you could say. But the past wasn't perfect. A lot of the same stuff happened. You didn't have a way.
It wasn't platform.
It wasn't magnified like it. It wasn't like
you didn't
amplified. Yeah. The biggest thing you did was you stuck your Polaroid picture up on the wall at Sportsman Stop, and 25 people saw it. That was it. Now the world sees it. So it's a very different thing. So
one thing that I had or kind of like a solution to this whole thing is Ducks Unlimited and Delta do so much for conservation of the birds and such, and more than just waterfowl, of course.
Yeah,
too.
for sure. Yeah, the residual effects.
When we were talking to them, like, hey, when you do your surveys, why are you going to the same places when you know the ducks aren't going to be there?
Yeah.
Because those recommendations then get brought to the Fish and Wildlife Service for season dates and species limits, regulations and such. Yeah. Why don't you go to where you know the flyways are going like this? They're going outwards from where they traditionally were. Why don't you go to new areas? Mm-hmm. He goes, well, we could, but we need more funding. It's like, okay, should we start a GoFundMe? Like hunters in general, or can Ducks Unlimited start a GoFundMe so we can put money towards what we feel like is most important? Because what they were banging in was habitat. That's what makes it.
Well, that's what's important to Ducks Unlimited.
That's DU's thing is 100%, which
Correct.
I mean, it's vital right now.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's so many things that could help. You know, kind of interesting on that little side note. I've been thinking a lot about trying to start and how. So. You know, we say we're conservationists because we duck hunt. I think that's kind of bullshit. Like, killing ducks does not make me a conservationist.
Correct.
I'm forced to spend money on a duck hunting license. I would still spend. I'll buy 2 duck stamps anyways, and I give a bunch of money to Delta and DU, and I give them some of my pictures to use for free in their banquets and all that kind of stuff. So like, I've given a lot of monetary funds, but I don't necessarily feel like that makes me a conservationist either. Like that's like I'm supporting conservation, but I don't think I'm a conservationist. Like I want to have a way that myself and other people at a grassroots level can do the work. Like the actual stuff. Like I want to have South Dakota duck hunting group. Not LLC, but like whatever, whatever it is, a nonprofit, so that we raise that money and it goes to putting duck houses in South Dakota, or providing, maybe improving some of the habitat, or putting some boat launches on some public ground that now hunters can get to they couldn't before. Things that will help hunting and duck hunting.
Yeah,
but at a local level, and then it allows us as these hunters to go do the thing to help to help put these up, because then you actually like once you get to that level, then you become more bought in about all of it. Like you start to care more about the image that we have as hunters and the birds themselves and the habitat and the places we do and all that stuff, rather than just, like what we can extract from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think we feel the same way. We've always, Joey and I lately have been talking like, well, what if there was a different group where you could actually, raise money that would directly affect your local situation.
Yep.
Whatever that is.
There used to set up a thing of volunteers.
There used to be more of that too. There used to be, like when I was young, like we had Minnesota pheasants. I don't know if that's still around anymore or not.
I don't know, but there was Minnesota waterfowlers too.
Yeah, there was that too. Like, and maybe are they still around? I don't know.
They closed like 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, see that stinks. Like, we need that's the kind of stuff that, because like sadly, Ducks Unlimited gets beat up by everybody in the South because they think they're building us heated cornfields to hunt up here.
Exactly.
Which I'll invite anyone to come up here and drive around and find us some, flooded, heated cornfields up here.
Yeah, with a levee that we're managing water flow.
Yeah. Like it just doesn't. But some of those guys. Some of them up north is Missouri, where people do it.
Yeah.
And maybe Ducks Unlimited has some involved. But the amount of like land that DU has, and what they do to raise ducks like north of us that fly down the flyway to them, it bothers me so much to see them get beat up. But I do think we need someone outside of just that realm that has that thing that allows hunters to have like, a hold on part of that conservation story
versus
themselves.
$20 for
like I said, I know some like one of the regional guys for Delta. My images have raised over like 25,000 for him. But like, okay, like I still didn't do anything like other than say, you can use these. Like I don't. I'm not a conservationist.
You want to put your
because of that. Yeah, I want to go do something and get people involved and help all of it. So. There's a lot. I mean, it's funny. There's a lot of things that, like, I mean, I have a list that I keep on my phone of like things that are wrong with duck hunting and how we could fix some of them.
That is exactly what I expected.
Yeah, like
I'm
like in bed. Like I'm in bed. I'm like, oh, I bet we could do this thing or help with that. I don't like this. And some was like grumpy old man stuff maybe, but it's things that Because if you're a 22-year-old duck hunter now, you don't know what it was like to be able to go to some of these places in Arkansas. Even 15 years ago, it was busy. Like, I'm not going to say like you went there and it was quiet.
Yeah.
But it was not like it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, or even a lot of public places in the Dakotas. Like, it's very different now.
Well, you look at
or Missouri. I mean, I went to Kansas a few years back, and my God, I mean, it was like the places that are known, that are like cool to hunt, like they're kind of a zoo, especially if the weather is right. Or I was in Oklahoma 2 years ago, places that we had some unbelievable hunts 10 years ago only, and barely had people around us. You know, maybe like 12 people on this whole huge lake, and each access had like 15, and there's handful of accesses on this lake. So it's a very different thing. And if you could get those people to try to want to get back what there was, things that they don't even know existed, but to understand that it can be a way other than what it is right now. It doesn't have to stay like this. Yeah. Like I tell people, I said, I hunt with a fair amount of younger guys because, they have the flexibility hunt sometimes. I said, man, like, take advantage of what you have right now, because duck hunting is not going to get better. Like, the habitat situation is probably, we're not going to gain a lot more habitat ever. We're not going to gain more access. There's never going to be less hunters, and the information about all these places is just going to keep growing. Well,
they say there's less hunters every year, and I think
that's changed though now. I think now when you look at it, it's level. It's not like declined like they've said. Yeah. So I don't think that is quite as true. Yeah. But the other part about that too is the less hunters, I'll promise you, are hunting more harder than we ever did.
Yes.
Like, I mean, and this is part of like one of my things, like one of the things that's changed is even something as simple as how much more reliable vehicles are now than they were in even the 90s.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you were going to hop in a 1993 F-150 and drive from Louisiana to South Dakota, like, it didn't happen. Like, people drove, but it was not the same. But again, and we didn't have Onyx. Like, you didn't have that easy access. I mean, Onyx is one of those things, like, I love it and I hate it. I love that I have it. Right. I wish that nobody else had it,
Right.
Like, so,
yeah.
Like, you have all this different things that have changed the dynamic of how all these have worked. And if you could get people just to, we might have to sacrifice a few things. Like, maybe I can't go to Arkansas every year and hunt. Maybe they put a lottery on, but you get drawn every other year. I would gladly go hunt there every other year if I knew there was going to be half as many people.
Yeah.
And I won't go there now because I'm like, it just is like, I just didn't have fun the last time I was there. It was like, there's just everywhere you went, there's people. And there's, again, like, if you get lucky and you bump into the right spot, or you're with the right people, or you hunt with an army, if you want to hunt with 20 people, like, you can do that, but I don't want to do that.
I'm out.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Right.
So if we could get people to sacrifice a little, like, you gain on the backside of that.
Yeah.
So
we need to get more coordinated.
Yeah.
Is the biggest thing probably.
Yeah. And it's a lot of self-interest in some of these things. And I mean, I was
going to say, is it selfish to want those things? Yeah.
Well, but yes and no. I think it's selfish to not want that in a way. Like, okay, so like, take the South Dakota example. So when I lived in Minnesota, I was beyond glad that South Dakota had a lottery, because I wanted to go hunt somewhere where when I got drawn, it wasn't a zoo. Like, you could pull up somewhere to a field, or back then is when I field hunted still. You could go to a cornfield and there wasn't going to be 8 people sleeping in it.
Hereditary hearing loss is bad in my family, but then also being around guns my entire life and in construction, my hearing is not so good. And so being able to work with sound gear in the last 4 or 5 years has been absolutely incredible. And you notice a huge difference when you wear them while hunting, while not. And I'm really scared I'm going to turn out like my dad because he can't hear shit. And so I would say you're probably dumb to lose one of your senses. Our senses are pretty important. I think that's what makes us human. So I would say go to Sound Gear and pick up some Phantoms, Shield, or Instant Fits. And our codes for the Phantom and the Shield are Flyways. And then we have MWF 125 for the Instant Fits. Guys, seriously, go protect your hearing. It's so important.
Or you could go to a cattail slough that had 200 mallards on it, and you were probably going to be the only one there. And then so of course now I live there, like, I want to keep it that way. And I try to, like, show people that, because, like, every time it comes up on a Facebook post or an Instagram post is people from out of state just tear it down. I'm like, have you ever hunted here? Well, no.
It's pretty incredible.
I haven't because it was a lottery. Well, you're going to get drawn every other year. You're basically guaranteed every other year.
Right.
Apply one time, come here, see what it's like, and then go to North Dakota. Cross over the border, go by Jamestown or go by Ellendale or go, by Devils or something like that, and go see what that's like. And tell me, like, do you like this other experience better? Is that more valuable to you that you would sacrifice every other year for that? Like, I would in Arkansas. Like, and I love hunting in the woods. I love it. Yeah. But if I could go and have half as many people, I would apply every year. I would pay $200 even to not get drawn, just to give myself a point for the next year, so that I got drawn. I would gladly do that to go have a way higher quality hunt the next year. And I think I agree with that too. I think it's somewhat selfish to just say, I just want to be able to go do whatever I want, whenever I want, no matter where I live. I think that's just a selfish on the other side. Whereas I want to have a quality hunt rather than just the hunt. So, I mean, as I look at it, if you watch those videos of people at, the big places in Arkansas, I think part of what the culture has become for those guys is that, like, that they're not competing against the ducks. They're competing you're competing against other people.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I would love to take some of those guys. I'm not going to take them to my spot, but I'd love for them to go to a place where they could hunt and shoot a limb of greenheads in the morning and not hear a shotgun in the distance.
Yeah.
And just know how much cooler that is.
Yeah.
That you're not having
show.
Yeah, you're not having to worry about someone calling your ducks off you or someone moving in on you or any of that bullshit. You're hunting the ducks, you're enjoying the time, and you're not yelling at people and getting spotlighted and all that bullshit. Like, so I don't think it's selfish to want to have a higher quality experience rather than just a quantity of them.
Yeah,
so,
right. For everybody, though.
Yeah, for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, because I would be subject to, South Dakota is the only place that I would have the benefit right now, and I would gladly if I made the rules for states, I would say Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri,
North Dakota,
all, if they were going to take care of the residents and improve the quality of hunt for people who are coming out of state, put some form of a lottery on.
Sure.
And maybe take what they currently sell for non-resident licenses, take 2/3 of that and make it a lottery.
Yeah.
And then that makes the people who come, you plan on it. It's not the spur of the moment deal. Because that's what happens in one of the places I love to hunt is you can just buy them over the counter. And then as soon as the weather comes, boom, the hordes descend on them. And
that's where I met you, right?
Yep. And within 2 days, those ducks are gone. Whereas, if you had a little bit of control over that pressure, they're going to stay there and be huntable for 10 days, 2 weeks until the next batch comes.
Yeah.
And it's not that now.
And I think it's different, like for us too, like for me, for sure, because I didn't grow up hunting. I started hunting when I was 20.
Yeah.
And so, I've kind of seen, like, my experience has been mostly kind of the stuff you're talking about already. Like that's what I'm kind of used to. Yep. And I think, it's important to remember, like, a lot of the young guys too, they don't know the difference.
That's all they know.
They don't know the difference. Yep. And so it's not like they're, acting. I don't think a lot of these guys think they know everything. I just think that's what they are used to.
Well, that's how they got introduced to it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it today a little bit. And don't want it to sound like mean, but like your average duck hunter is probably not really very good.
Yeah.
But one thing I thought about it is every other sport, how were you introduced to every other sport? Like, how were you first introduced to baseball? How your dad?
T-ball, yeah.
Yep. But then who's the next person, the next people that kind of took you along in that process? Well, friends. Okay, then who's after that?
Your coach?
A coach.
Yeah.
So everybody, all the other sports and activities, you have a coach that is at least more knowledgeable than you.
Yeah.
And probably more knowledgeable than your dad was.
Yep.
In hunting, the only person that most people have for the first few years is their dad.
Yep.
And most dads are okay. I mean, they know the basics, but they're not experts.
Yep.
Which is like what you would have in football or baseball. You'd have someone that's presumed to be an expert teaching you these things.
Yeah.
And you don't have that, whether it's the skill set or the ethics and the kind of unspoken rules of hunting.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you don't have that. And so it goes to friends. And that's, we all know what happens with your friends when you're in your 18, 19, 20 years old. Like, you don't have everybody's making choices that aren't
You
great.
don't have the emotional wherewithal to figure it all out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, I don't know why I thought of that today earlier. I was super busy and I was standing there for a minute, like zoning out. And I'm like, that's like one reason why that is what it is, because you don't have the same leadership as you would in every other activity that we do that's somewhat competitive. I mean, as much as I don't want duck hunting to be competitive, it is, there's no doubt.
Right.
And so it's something that you learn and you grow up with. And, a person could learn it on their own, but it's kind of hard, especially when you have billions of outside influences coming from every direction, like the social media thing again, that don't reflect maybe what would be the ideal, or what we probably in this room presume to be the ideal.
Well, it's like in Minnesota, if you want to get a duck hunting license, you never went through hunter safety, you can't go hunting. You have an apprentice license, in Minnesota. And so I've taken a lot of people on their apprentice licenses because they've never hunted before. And I'm able to like mentor them and like teach them everything. Yeah. But if they went through hunter safety when they were a kid, they'd never duck hunted. They'd only deer hunted with their dad.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what you're getting at too, which I think everyone in this room is going to really agree with, but the reality is it's not about teaching them, what a duck, like the scientific understandings all the time of a duck. It's about the unwritten rules, the little things and the respect and the way you treat things and picking up your shells and, all that stuff that you just don't, unless somebody's right there, like you said, teaching you. And like when you learn T-ball, like they're not teaching you how to hit home runs.
Yeah,
no, they're working on ground balls and the basics and running the bases and like it's not about teaching them how to be a great I know exactly what this duck is going to do on his way down. No, it's the little stuff.
All those first years that you do it, even the first couple days really are probably the formative ones that. And you watch how the people that you do it, how they interact with the birds and treat the birds and deal with other hunters and all that kind of stuff. So, it'd be great if there was a better system for that. I don't know how you would ever change it because
maybe it's in hunter safety.
Yeah, like a deeper one. I mean, like South Dakota has a real cool deal that I volunteered with that year that I when I quit Cabela's that summer. I did a bunch of I volunteered at a thing called the Outdoor Campus in Sioux Falls that. They have everyday classes on all sorts of stuff for kids and adults, and it was fishing and fly fishing, fly tying and duck hunting and duck calling, everything.
It's really cool.
But it's expensive. I'm sure it's super expensive because it's a big building and they got a staff. And I was a volunteer, but there's a lot of stuff involved. But if you have that kind of stuff at that level where you have people who actually know come in and talk about it and let them be the one to influence that kind of moldable minds and in that subject. Yeah. It might help, but it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of pieces to it. And there's a lot of people in hunting that you can't tell them anything.
Yeah.
You can't tell them even, they've hunted 2 times and they're the expert. And I probably was that way when I was young, like we know everything. We went out on opening day and shot 7 wood ducks. We know it all.
Right. So, is it annoying then for you, like seeing guys like us come up and start making, videos and being like, hey, this is what we're doing out here and whatever?
Not necessarily that. I think as long as it's done with like the right intent and the right mindset, I'm not going to lie. I do not watch any YouTube hunting.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't.
You don't strike me as someone
zero,
who would.
Literally zero.
Yeah, we didn't think you did.
I had sometimes at duck camp, if there's other people around, it's on the TV.
Yep.
But like, I just don't. I don't.
It's not on your search for them.
No.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean like I'm not against it. I mean, there's ones that I'm definitely against for multiple different reasons.
Yeah.
But there's some that I think that are probably very quality stuff and good hunters. But like it doesn't necessarily bother me like in principle. But there's specifics. There's specifics that can make it that.
It's more the method to what they're doing, not so much that they're doing it.
Yeah, the method and the reasoning and that kind of stuff. So
you can tell when people want it because they want to be famous.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we had someone come into the booth yesterday that had to mention his YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. Okay, I get it, I got it. I'm good. Like I don't need to hear any more about your YouTube channel.
Wait, you have a YouTube channel?
Oh my god. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. I'm like, oh wow. Let me see it. Show me your favorite
Kid's
one.
Probably watching this right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he knew who I was. So, he's from the area, so he's probably watching you guys.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
dude,
okay.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
thanks.
After it was a long time coming. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We got to get going to the party deal.
The Mexican dancing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Love me some
You can't.
Mexican music.
If you end the podcast with this, it's hard to be like pissed.
Oh yeah,
when
everybody's
this is
happy.
playing. Yeah.
You can't
We're all in
be
the mood.
upset listening.
Let's go
Yeah.
get a cerveza.
Oh yeah, I
So-
need muchas cervezas.
Where can people find you, Phil? Instagram?
Man. Yeah, probably Instagram's the easiest thing.
At Phil
that's where,
Kahnke.
yeah, Phil Kahnke
Photograhy.
photos or something like that.
Yeah.
One of them. My name.
You'll find
type
it.
my name. I got
Put your
two
phone
of them.
number on. Put your phone
Yeah,
number on.
yeah, exactly.
Right. Just send me a text,
Can you
please.
get a personal number on here? Yeah. Well, thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
we
guys.
really
That was fun.
appreciate it,
Yep.
and we'll have to
We'll
have
do
you
it
on
again. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hey, one more thing, by the way.
Yes.